Hi. Hi, everybody. I was just trying to go live on Facebook and Instagram at the same time. And clearly I'm a little technologically challenged when it comes to my laptop. So if you're trying to join me on Instagram, I'm very sorry. I'm going to have to try it again. So welcome to Friday night, Candlelight. I've got all my candles set up, although you can't see them, so I'm going to push them back. Oh, barely. Okay. Let's see. I guess you can sort of see them now. All right. So we're going to get started in a moment. And so if you're just joining us, just go ahead and get your mat ready and a bolster or a blanket and some yoga props, and we'll get going. So welcome everybody to Friday night's yoga practice. We are going to start reclined, so lying down in any place that feels comfortable for you right now. And for those of you that have a cushion or a bolster, you can lie down on the length of the bolster if you like, or you could put the bolster underneath your knees. And we're going to start lying down. So just whenever you're ready, start to set yourself up, get comfortable, and then we'll get started. So I was having some technical difficulties trying to get going on Facebook Live and Instagram Live at the same time. So hopefully you've joined me here on Facebook. Take a moment on your back to give yourself a couple of clearing breaths. In through your nose and out through your mouth. Start to allow your body to unravel and unwind and let go a little bit. And if your eyes are open, if you can soften your gaze, or you can close your eyes here. And allow your breath to continue to move into your belly or into your chest. And then as you exhale, see if you can let go a bit more. Let go of your week so far. I'm sure even just your day, if you're like me, each day is kind of blurring into the next. So it is Friday night. And so welcome if you've just joined us here tonight. I just want to remind everybody that, being online is a little bit different than being in a studio or in a room to support you in your practice. So because I can't see you moving and knowing when you might be prone to potentially injuring yourself, just really be mindful of your practice and just doing things that feel good for you. If something's not feeling good, please come out or please find something else that does, so that you don't overextend yourself in any way. We're just going to take a few more breaths here. Just as you're ready, begin to extend your arms overhead if that's okay for you. Reach out through your fingers and your toes. Give yourself a big body stretch. Excuse me. Bring your feet down to the floor and just take a moment here, maybe feeling your lower back connected to the floor. And you could either roll to one side and come up to your seat, or you could lift yourself upright here. I'm just going to move my bolster off to the side, and we're going to start up on our seat. If you have a blanket rolled up or a cushion to sit up on, please feel free to come up to your seat. I also wanted to mention, if you, because I can't play music in my background, if you ever want to have music on in the background of your place, please add that in as it feels good for you. And take one hand over your heart, maybe one hand over your belly. We're going to take a few deep breaths into our hands here, breathing in to a count of 4 or 5. And take a moment to hold at the top, and then exhale 4, 5, and if you'd like, you can hold at the bottom and then take a breath in again. There's just a slight pause at the top before you start your exhale. And if this creates any tension or anxiety to hold your breath at the bottom or the top, please just continue to allow your breath to flow more fluidly. As you're breathing here, notice where your breath is moving into the most. Right now I'm feeling it moving up into my collarbones, up into the center of my chest. You might notice it in the back, maybe in your rib cage. And just another breath here. And when you're ready, bringing your hands down, maybe drawing your chin down towards your chest. Take your shoulders back and down a few times. Take a couple deep breaths into your upper back here. Full exhale. And begin to lift your chin away from your chest. And if you can bring your hands to the tops of your knees, you might want to start to make some gentle movement here, so just allowing some circular movement. You can move slow, or you can move quicker than I am, or at the same pace, and you can move from one hip to the other hip and just move in a circular motion, maybe a few times in one direction and a few times in the other direction. And you could also breathe in as you come forward, and then exhale, lean back. So I'm going to keep reminding you to come back to your breath as we move tonight. It's really key to find a deeper, fuller breath, at least this one time, maybe once every day. Just being aware of your breath and allowing some more breath to come in to let go and to soften and to release any kind of tension that you might be holding. So we're going to move back now, round back. Maybe that's your exhale. Inhale to lift forward and up. And one more time. And then coming back to the center. And then with my fingertips behind me, I'm going to lean back just a little bit, draw my shoulder blades towards one another, maybe lift my chest, maybe lift your chin away from your chest. Take a couple deep breaths into your heart space here. When you're ready, coming back forward. You could hold the tops of your shins or your knees. You could round back. You could bring your chin towards your chest. Take a couple deep breaths here. And when you're ready, coming back to the center. Okay. So tonight's practice, if you're just joining us, Candlelight Yoga. Just a reminder to listen to your body. You don't want to create any pain in yoga. You want to do things that are going to support you. So if what I'm guiding you into or through isn't supporting you, please find something else that does. We're going to come back into child's pose, and you can have your knees a little bit parted to the sides or a lot parted. You can also have your knees a little closer. If you'd like to support your head, your forehead with your hands, or stack your fists, or bring a block underneath your head, you can, or even a blanket. And bring your head to the floor if you like. Now as you breathe here, connect your breath into the back of your body, so up into your upper back and shoulder blades. And as you exhale, feel the front of your body soften. Let your heart melt towards the floor. Just a couple more breaths here. So just know that you can stay in this pose if it feels resting for you. You can come back here at any time. And just as you're ready, we'll rise and come up to tabletop. So hands underneath your shoulders, knees are underneath your hips. And again, we're going to move our spine a little bit here tonight. So you're round with your chin to your chest could be your exhale. Your inhale could lower your belly and lift your heart. Find a little arch through your spine and continue to move with your own breath at your own pace. Hi, buddy. My cat also likes cat and cow pose when I'm doing it. If you haven't met my cat, his name is Bo, and he seems to make a little cameo every time I come to my mat here. He's been very feisty today, so we'll see how this goes. Some days he's lazy, and some days he's just full of energy. Come here. And exhale. Now I'm going to add in some big circles here, so some circular movement through my spine. You could do this figure 8 kind of movement yourself, or you could move from side to side here, so moving your hips to one side, looking over that same shoulder, going to the opposite side. And I should say, if this ever feels like it's too much underneath your knees, you could place a blanket under it, folded up blanket underneath your knees for a bit more support when we're in tabletop. We'll just take a few more breaths here. Moving organically, maybe closing your eyes and just moving in a way that creates some space for you. Just feel your body start to unravel and unwind and let go a little bit more. All right, we're going to come now right to the front of our bodies. So in any way that makes sense for you to come right down onto the front of your body. Now you can have your palms stacked out in front of you, forehead here on your hands, or you could turn your head to one side if that's comfortable. And then lift your feet, so bend your knees, and we're just going to windshield wiper our feet from side to side a few times. Now if you just had dinner, this may not feel so awesome, so if at any point it's not working, you can always move back to child's pose as well. And then just as you're ready, coming back to the center with your legs, bringing your feet back down to the floor. Bring your hands just underneath your shoulders. Roll your shoulders back and down. We're going to take a low cobra here. You can keep your hands underneath you on the floor, or you could lift your hands slightly away from the floor, looking down at the mat right below your nose, just keeping your neck nice and neutral here. Take a couple more breaths. And then bring your palms forward again, elbows wide. Let's slide our right knee up alongside of your body. So your knee's going to come alongside you. You could look over at that same side. Take a couple deep breaths here. If you really have a lot of tension and stress and anxiety built up, give yourself a couple clearing breaths here, in through your nose. And then exhale through your mouth. Just letting go, just letting go. And then coming back through the center. Now, you may want to stay in low cobra, and if not, we're going to come up to locust pose. And this is where your elbows should be slightly forward from your shoulders. Your shoulders can roll back and down. If you have a rolled up blanket or a bolster, you could put it underneath your rib cage just to support you so that some of the weight comes off of your shoulders. It's not necessary to have that. You can see how that feels. Some of you may want to also bend your knees here if that doesn't create too much tension in your lower back. So if it does, start to bring your feet back down to the floor. You could also bring your chin down towards your chest here. And then start to breathe back up into your heart space again. And remembering if this starts to create tension in your shoulders, you're just going to come back down into a low cobra. You'll just remove the blanket or bolster. Couple more breaths here. And if you put a bolster or a blanket underneath you, you can release that off to the side, lower down, take your left knee out to the side, turn your head to the side, or bring your forehead to your hands here, and connect back to your breath. As you're ready, let's come back through the center, hands underneath your shoulders. We're going to rise and come back up to tabletop here. All right, so we're going to start back in tabletop. I just wanted to say hi everybody and welcome, and if you're just joining us, and I'm Shannon, and yeah, we're doing candlelight yoga today. Yay, it's Friday. Friday that used to mean something to me. Right now it doesn't. It's kind of funny. So tabletop, and we're going to start. You can start again with hands underneath your shoulders, but bring your right toes behind you. You can either place them on the floor behind you with your leg extended, or you can lift your right foot up so that your ankle is in line with your hip, and you're going to pull up through your core. Find that little bit of core stability here. Find that center, that power center right in the middle of your body. You can stay here. You can extend your opposite arm forward. Of course, if you start to lose balance, bring both hands down to the floor, connecting to your breath here. And as you're ready, both hands and knees come back down to your mat. You can pause here. You can move through cat and cow a couple times, connecting to your breath. And coming back to center. We're going to do the other side. So left leg extends back, either toes tucked under or lifting your foot up in line with your ankle, core's pulling in, maybe extending your right arm forward or keeping both hands planted. Just noticing how that feels. Again, drawing up through the center of your body, really focusing on that power center and maybe trying to connect back to your breath. And as you're ready, both hands and knees come back down. You can move through cat and cow a few times, or if you prefer, let's move back to child's pose and settle in for about 5 or 6 breaths here. Last couple breaths. All right, let's rise and come back up. So this time we're going to lift up onto our knees. I'm going to turn to face you, and you could also turn on your mat if you like as well. We're going to extend our right leg out to the right. Toes can either point to the side or forward, whatever is most comfortable here. Again, you can also place a folded up blanket underneath your knee, and then bring your right hand to your right leg. You can extend your left arm up here, shoulders come back and down. Now if this feels okay, you can start to tip over towards the right, and you want to create a little bit of side lengthening here, but try to relax your shoulder down and away from your ear, and breathe into the side of your body. So you inhale, rise, and come back up. And we're going to draw that knee back in. And let's switch sides, extending your left leg out here. Left hand to your left leg, shoulders down, reach your right arm up. Again, keeping your shoulder away from your ear, maybe tipping over towards the left a little bit here and breathing into your side. And inhale, let's rise, come back up. And let's bring both knees back in and come to sit back on our heels if that's okay. Palms on your lap or hands over your heart. Close your eyes here and just take a few clearing breaths. If there's an intention that you'd like to set for your practice tonight, or there's an energy that you'd like to draw towards you, if there's something that you'd like to let go of, see if you can bring that into your awareness so you can really focus on letting go or drawing in whatever it is that you'd like to bring. When you're ready, we're going to come into bound angle posture. If your hips are tight, which a lot of our hips are, I'd recommend sitting up on a rolled up blanket, or if you have a yoga block, sitting up on a yoga block. So the bottoms of our feet are going to come together, and we're going to wiggle forward till we're starting to lean forward here, and your heels can come in closer or they can be a little bit further away from you. Begin to lengthen up through your spine, and if you have the capacity, you could lean forward and come forward and down. If you're leaning back still, maybe bring your hands, your fingertips beside you, and you could potentially start to prop yourself a bit more upright. Wherever it is that you are, clearing your breath, connecting to both your inhale and your exhale. And trying to let go a little bit more each time you exhale. As you're ready, we're going to rise and come back up. Bring your knees back towards one another. You could lean back here a little bit. You could bring your feet a little wider. You might want to windshield wiper your knees a few times side to side and let that go. All right, so we're going to come back to tabletop, and we're going to come into a lunge. So starting with your right foot forward, you could step it in. Try to bring your front knee over your ankle, and if it's popping forward of your ankle, move your back knee further back here. Now we're going to start by bringing ourselves upright. You could have a blanket or a cushion underneath your back knee here. And you could stay here. You could bring your hands to your hips. You could have your hands at heart center. You could also reach your arms up overhead, relaxing your shoulders down and away from your ears, connecting to your breath. And when you're ready, start to release your hands down. Keep your left hand down. Walk your right foot a little wider. And we're going to turn towards our front leg. That's our right leg, shoulders back. And you could stay here. You could bring your right hand to your right hip, or you could extend your arm up towards the ceiling. And then again, come back to your breath here. And just as you're ready, bringing both hands down, let's straighten out our front leg, walk your front foot in, Move your back knee a little further back, and again, you could use a cushion or a blanket underneath your back knee and begin to lift the bottom of your front foot. Now, some of you may have yoga blocks. If you don't, it's okay. You just want to keep your knee bent a little bit, bring your hands to the floor. You could have your hands up on blocks to bring the floor a little bit closer to you. And try to square your hips forward, maybe even pull your toes back towards you. You should feel some lengthening through the back of your front leg. You want to keep a little bit of a bend. If not, there's could be quite a bit of a bend in your front knee still. And just as you're ready, we're going to bring our right leg back. You could choose a couple options. You could move into child's pose here. For anyone wanting a little bit more active part of their practice, you could come into downward dog, and in down dog you could create a little movement here, bending one knee and sending your opposite heel towards the ground. And we're going to come into a lunge on the left side. So when you're ready, stepping your left foot forward. Okay, and when you're ready, rising, bringing your hands up to your hips. You could have your hands on your front leg. You could have your hands at heart center, or extend your arms overhead. And connecting back to your breath. Just a couple more breaths here. And when you're ready, bringing your hands down, keeping your right hand down, walk your left foot maybe a little to the left, toes turning out, knees still over your ankle though. Bring your left hand to your left leg and turn open towards the left. You can have your hand on your hip. You can reach up. Wherever it is that you are, connecting into your breath. Hi, buddy. There goes my cat. And as you're ready, hands come down, straighten out your front leg, walk your front foot in, and you can always move your knee back a little bit as you straighten out your front leg. You could put a cushion underneath there. Again, if you have yoga blocks, you can use those for your hands. Begin to flex your toes back towards you and square your hips towards the front of your mat, connecting to your breath. You could stay lifted here. Some of you might be able to fold forward and in, but just if you're feeling something here already, just stay here and connect to your breath. And as you're ready, we're going to drag that heel back. Again, you can move into child's pose here. Or you could come into downward facing dog again, so your choice. And really trusting in what your body needs right now, trusting in the wisdom of your body, connecting back to your breath. Now we're going to come back into tabletop, and we're going to come into lizard pose. So I'm actually going to move these candles to the side so I don't get burned. And we're going to come into lizard pose. So I'm just going to face you for a moment so you can see. One foot's forward, front knee's over my ankle. I'm going to use my blocks here on the inside of my front foot. So my front foot's a little wider. Your back knee can move back a little bit. If you have blocks and you have the capacity, you could lower down to your forearms. Try to avoid rounding through your upper back. If you're rounding, you can bring your hands to the floor. You can even lift up higher with your hands on the blocks. And wherever it is that you are, coming back to your breath, and you can always move. So if you lower down, you could always come back up. If you are upright, you can come back down. I like to make a little bit of movement here, side to side. Whatever works for you. You could also bring your chin down towards your chest a little bit. Settle into your breath. And just remembering that, you know, you can always come out sooner than when I'm guiding you out. So especially if you're experiencing pain, and especially when we move into hip openers, we can find a lot of discomfort. And sometimes it's good to breathe through that, but then sometimes we're just creating more discomfort. We're creating more tension. So trust when your body wants to come out. You could come into child's pose or find something else that supports you here. Find your way out, and as you do that, you might want to find a release. Oftentimes I like to make some big hip circles here, either from tabletop or from downward facing dog. So either one here. And then just as you're ready, we're going to come to the other side if you're not there already, stepping our left foot forward. Okay. All right. This side could feel very different. So again, just trusting where you're going to place your hands, and maybe you're going to make some movement, or you're going to find stillness, or maybe you're going to come out sooner. So connecting to your breath wherever it is that you are. A few more breaths here, wherever it is that you are. And if you're still here in lizard, you can, whenever you're ready, make your way on out of the pose. And again, maybe child's pose or maybe downward facing dog here. But allow yourself to release or to settle, come back to your breath. And if you're in downward dog, coming back into child's pose here, we're going to take a little bit of a twist. So start by taking your arms slightly over towards the left side, and as long as you can bring your forehead down towards the floor, you could also take your left arm and just rest it alongside you. And if you don't feel a stretch down through your right side, you could always move your right arm and your upper body a bit more to the left, trying to keep your hips anchored, especially down through that right side. And then breathe into your right side here, exhaling to soften your shoulder blades onto your back and let go a little bit more. As you're ready, coming back to the center, And let's come to the other side. So your left arm moves across towards the right. You can keep your right arm extended as well, or you can rest your right arm alongside your body. So you want to feel some length through your left side, and at the same time relax through your shoulders, let your hips settle. Take a few more breaths here. Through the center. Let's come back up to tabletop, and if you like, move a couple times through cat and cow here. Okay, so I'm going to do one more posture from tabletop. You can have your hands on blocks. Or you can tent up through your hands, so fingertips on the floor. You're going to melt your heart so that your elbows and your armpits are lifted. If this is too much tension in your upper back and you're on the blocks, you could bring your hands to the floor. If it's still too much, you can start to lower your forearms down a bit here. Okay, so, or you can come out altogether. It's just, again, trusting that your body will guide you to what feels good. And you never want to be in any kind of pain, especially sharp kind of pain. Couple more breaths into your heart space here. As you're ready, bringing your hands back underneath your shoulders, and we're going to rise back up to our seats here. So if you have a rolled up blanket or a cushion, please feel free to sit up on that. Now we're going to do a forward fold here. You can choose tonight. You could have both legs extended forward, or if you prefer, you could take a wider straddle, so a wider stride here. I'll come a bit closer. Legs far apart from one another, okay, or legs extended forward. Either way, you can lengthen up through your spine here. This might be where you are, and you could stay here and lean forward, or try to lean forward a little bit. For those of you that can lean forward a bit more, you can go ahead and start to fold inwards. And if you're folding in quite far and you have a bolster or block or something, you could support yourself with a bolster or block, and if not, it's okay too, you don't need one. Coming back to your breath here. You come back to your intention, the energy you'd like to draw in, or the things you'd like to let go of. Just take about 5 more breaths here. You're ready, you start to slowly lift up. you can bring your feet closer if they were apart. You can bring your feet to the ground if you like, and we did this earlier where we did some windshield wipering of our knees from side to side. So if you like, you can also do that to release and let go a bit. Just gonna offer up another hip opener. We're gonna either come into pigeon pose or figure four. So for pigeon pose, if you're familiar with it, your knee's a little wider than your hip. So your knee, my left knee is right onto the left edge of my mat, and my back leg moves back. I'm gonna fold in now. If that creates any tension in your knee, not a good place to be putting weight on top of your knees. So you could lie down here and come into figure four, where you place one foot on top of your other leg just above your knee, and you can bring your knees up in towards your chest here. Okay, so either one, figure four or pigeon pose. I'm hoping you guys can all sort of see me here still as it gets a bit darker. Settling into either one of those postures, and we're going to stay here for maybe a couple minutes. So if you feel like you need to come out sooner than that, please, again, trust in your body's wisdom and make your way out sooner. Coming back to your breath. A couple more breaths here on this side. If you're still in figure four pigeon, you can make your way out of that side. If you like, give yourself a little bit of a release from that side before coming to the other side. Some of you may want to move a bit more than others, but just in your own time, coming to the other side when you're ready, and one side might feel different. So again, if you try pigeon and you feel pressure in your knee joint at all, please, please, please make your way onto your back for figure four instead. Okay? I'm just settling in again. We'll be here for a minute and a half or so. couple more breaths on this side here. Just as you're ready, making your way out, giving yourself any kind of movement or release or coming into child's pose. If you're on your back, you could stay on your back actually, because that's where we will be headed next. So if you're reclined down, and if you're not there yet, it's okay, just taking your time to release and then come to lie back onto your back. And when you do come to your back, you could start by bringing both knees up towards your chest, or one knee at a time. You can make some movement from side to side, rocking a little bit here, and connecting into your breath. Now, if your both knees are into your chest, place your left foot on your mat, and you can draw your right knee in. You can have your hands on top of your knee or your shin. You can make a little bit of movement from side to side here. You could stay drawing your knee a little wider. You could also take your hand behind your knee and lift your foot towards the ceiling, or you can grab your ankle or the outside of your foot for a half happy baby, and let your left knee also just open towards the side so that you're not leaning to your right side, you're more even on your back here. Let your shoulders relax. Couple more breaths. You're ready, let's release that out. Extend both legs forward, perhaps towards the front of your mat. You could shake it out a little bit here. Give yourself a full body stretch. And then keeping your right foot on the floor, you could bring your left knee towards your chest and just make a little bit of movement here side to side. And you could keep your left knee towards the side, up towards the side. You could bring your hand underneath your knee again, or you could grab your ankle or your foot. Again, we're coming to half happy baby. Your right knee will now open towards the right, just to keep you a bit more balanced on your lower back. And try to relax your shoulders again and come back to your breath here. Clear it out through your mouth. Letting it go if you need to here. Just a couple more breaths. When you're ready, begin to release that out again, and maybe extend both legs forward. Give your feet a little bit of a shake side to side, or give yourself a full body stretch here again. If you'd like to, you could bring both knees up into your chest, rock a little bit from side to side. And we're going to come into a twist, so moving both knees over to the right side. I often bring both of my hips. I move my hips over to the left first, and then my knees to the right, and just finding a twist that works for you here, so that your knees and your feet are settled on the ground, or maybe you put a cushion underneath your legs to support you. Just another breath or two here. time to come back to the center, and just as you're ready, coming over to the other side. And again, trying to find a place where your feet and your knees can rest comfortably. Coming back to your breath and trying to relax the weight of your body towards the floor. So notice any clenching. Sometimes they start to clench up into my shoulders, my neck. So I have to really work at relaxing those parts of my body. Back to the center when you're ready. And one more time, bring your knees up into your chest. Maybe take a couple clearing breaths here. So we're going to find a comfortable place to lie down for Shavasana. If you have a blanket or a sweater like I do, you could put a sweater on. You could put a blanket over top of you. Some of you have a bolster you need to place underneath your knees or along the length of your spine. So just taking a moment to get set up, and not everybody, but sometimes people want to skip this part of the practice. It can be really hard to be still as we're all learning. But this is such an important time, especially right now, just to find this place where we don't have to do or be, or we don't have to do or think about anything. We can just be here and give yourself this gift right now to just be. A couple clearing breaths. Let yourself settle in. And if you're not comfortable on your back, lie on your side. Come to child's pose. Find something else that works for you. So we'll be here for about 5 minutes, and just allow yourself to settle. to deepen your breath. Start to bring your awareness back into your body, back into your space, your area, your room, wherever it is that you are. Make some gentle movement with your ankles and your wrists. And you could stretch out from your fingers to your toes. You could bring your knees up into your chest. But whenever you're ready, just come over onto your right side for a few breaths. Or your left side, whatever side is more comfortable. Just take your time to come up to your seat here. Once you've come up to your seat, again, you can have a hand on your heart, a hand on your belly, or both hands over your heart. Take a couple deep breaths of gratitude for taking this time tonight for yourself. I have such deep gratitude for all of you. Thank you for everyone for reaching out and for coming to practice and for sharing the posts and commenting and sharing with your friends. It means so much to me, so thank you so much. I'm so happy I have this to give right now, and I hope that you're all receiving something from this as well. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much. Namaste. Hope you'll have a wonderful sleep tonight. Thanks, everyone. So I've posted up as an event my schedule for the next week or 10 days. So please feel free to check that out and come check it out. I'll be on live again soon. If you have any particular requests for practice, things that you'd like to do during practice, or postures or body areas or whatever, please let me know, and I'll try to incorporate as much of that as I can. It's been wonderful to be with you here tonight. It's all dark. And I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everyone. Bye.